My friends framed me for arson, so I burned their reputation to the ground. Turn around, hands where I can see them. The officer's voice didn't just boom. It felt like a physical punch, drowning out the roar of the collapsing roof. I'm the one who called 911, I screamed, shielding my eyes from the blinding strobe lights. They're over there. Omar's the one who lit the firework. Don't move! Metal seared my cheek as he slammed me against the hot hood. The cold steel of the cuffs bit hard into my wrists. You're being detained. I twisted my neck to see Kelly sitting on the ambulance bumper, sobbing into a towel. I tried to stop her, she wailed, her voice pitched perfectly for the body cams. She just kept saying she wanted to see it burn. She's been so unstable since the breakup. That's a lie. I thrashed against the grip, ignoring the pain in my shoulder. Kelly, tell him Omar lit it for the vlog. Stop lying! Kelly looked up. Her mascara was smeared in a way that was tragic, photogenic, and calculated. Layla, please, don't make this worse. We know you need help. We forgive you. Get her in the car, the sergeant barked. Hard plastic dug into my spine as they shoved me into the back. Through the wire mesh, I watched Willow showing her phone to the police. She was playing the terrified witness to perfection. She sent this text 10 minutes ago, Willow said, her voice trembling. She said she was going to light up the night. What text? I shouted at the partition. I didn't send anything. My phone's in my bag. Willow has my bag. Sit back, the officer ordered. 2 hours later, I was chained to a table in a room that smelled of bleach and stale sweat. Detective Miller tossed an evidence bag onto the metal. Inside was a jagged silver lighter with a skull engraving. Recognize this? Miller asked. It's Omar's, I choked out. He bought it at the Shell station on Route 9. He was clicking it the whole drive up. Why aren't you asking him? Funny, Miller said, leaning in. We found it in your jacket pocket. They planted it. I tried to stand, but the chain snapped me back down. They put it there when I went to grab the hose. Check for fingerprints. Sit down, Layla, Miller said calmly. We have statements from all 3 of your friends. They all say you were drunk, spiraling, and wanted to make a statement. I haven't had a drop of alcohol. Test me. I was the designated driver. We already drew blood, Miller said, opening a laptop. But that won't explain the video. He turned the screen around. It was a clip from Willow's live stream. It showed me standing near the inferno, frantically swinging the hose. But in the graininess of the night mode, the water caught the orange reflection of the flames. It looked exactly like I was spraying jet fuel. I was trying to put it out, I screamed. It looks like you're feeding the fire to me, Miller said. You're looking at 10 years minimum, Layla, and considering the house you just torched belongs to Senator Reynolds' vacation estate, you're gonna need a hell of a lawyer. The door slammed shut, leaving me alone with the buzzing fluorescent light and the terrifying reality of a 10-year sentence. Miller gave me exactly 1 phone call. I didn't call a lawyer. I called my dad. Layla, tell me you didn't do it. His voice shook. The news is saying you had a breakdown. They're saying it's Senator Reynolds' estate. I didn't. I sobbed into the receiver, gripping the cord until my knuckles turned white. Dad, they framed me. Please, just get me out. 6 hours later, the sun was blinding as I walked out of the precinct. My parents didn't hug me. They stood near the car, looking at the ground, terrified that the news cameras camped on the sidewalk would catch them associating with an arsonist. We drove home in silence. Not the awkward kind. The terrifying kind where you know your life is over. We put the house up for collateral, my mom finally whispered as we pulled into the driveway. Do not go online. Do not talk to anyone. But the second my bedroom door clicked shut, I dug my old cracked tablet out of the bottom of my closet. My phone was tagged in an evidence bag downtown, but I didn't need it to see that I was finished. The Wi-Fi connected, and the notifications nearly froze the screen. Willow wasn't hiding. She was broadcasting. A thumbnail of her crying face was trending #1 on Twitter. The title read, "Surviving My Best Friend's Mental Break." I clicked it, my hands trembling so hard I almost dropped the tablet. I just wanted to help her, Willow whispered to the camera, wiping a tear that looked suspiciously like glycerin. Layla has been spiraling for months. We tried an intervention, we tried everything, but when she poured the gas, I just grabbed Kelly and ran. It had 4 million views. I scrolled down, it got worse. There was a GoFundMe link pinned to the top comment. Help us recover from the trauma. It had already raised $50,000. She wasn't just framing me to stay out of jail. She was monetizing my destruction to launch her career. I wasn't a person anymore. I was a villain. And the entire internet was sharpening its pitchforks. The digital attacks turned physical fast. A brick crashed through the living room window just as my mom was sweeping up the glass from the last one. Wrapped around the stone was a printout of my student ID photo with the word monster scrawled in red Sharpie. "Don't touch it," my dad hissed, pulling the blinds shut. "I am calling the police." "They won't care," I whispered, staring at the shattered glass. "We are the criminals now." My tablet pinged with a notification that made my stomach drop through the floor. It was an email from the dean of students. The subject line was in all caps. "Notice of immediate expulsion." I didn't even have to open it to know what it said. The morality clause in my scholarship was ironclad. I had lost my degree, my funding, and my future before I had even been arraigned. I tried to log into the group chat with my dorm mates, desperate for one ally. "You have been removed from this conversation." Every single friend I had made in the last 3 years had blocked me. I was radioactive. Willow was systematically erasing my defense. I refreshed her Twitter feed. She had just posted a receipt. It was a screenshot of a text message from me, timestamped 10 minutes before the fire. It read, "I am going to burn it all down." "That is fake," I screamed at the empty room. "I never sent that." Then I looked closer. It wasn't fake. It was old. I had sent that text 2 years ago when my laptop crashed during finals week. She had scrolled back, cropped the date, and presented it as a confession to 4 million people. The comments were rabid. People were tagging the FBI. They were dissecting my facial expressions in old photos to prove I had crazy eyes. "She is selling hoodies," I said out loud, my voice hollow. A link had appeared in her bio. Survivor merch. For $45, her followers could buy a sweatshirt with the date of the fire and the slogan, "Rise from the Ashes." She wasn't just ruining me, she was building a brand on my corpse. And the worst part, it was working. I wasn't fighting a legal battle anymore. I was fighting a narrative, and I was losing. I needed a weapon, and I found it in the bottom drawer of my desk. It was an ancient MacBook, the screen cracked like a spider web that Willow had borrowed 3 months ago to edit a group project. My hands shook as I plugged it in. The battery icon flashed red, then white. "Please," I whispered to the dark room. "Please tell me she is lazy." The screen flickered to life. Chrome was still open. I clicked the history tab. Nothing. She had cleared it. My heart sank. But then I saw the icon in the top right corner. The cloud drive. It was still logged in. Willow changed her passwords weekly to keep her DMs safe, but she never checked her authorized devices. I clicked Recent Uploads. Hundreds of files populated the screen, selfies, sponsorship drafts, and a folder labeled Cabin Content Raw. I hit play on a video timestamped 1 hour before the fire. The audio was terrible, just wind and the crunch of gravel, but the video was 4K crispness. It showed Omar standing by the back door of the cabin. He wasn't holding a firework. He was struggling with a heavy, black duffel bag. "Stop!" I hit the spacebar so hard the key stuck. I zoomed in until the pixels blurred. That bag wasn't in the car when we drove up. We had packed light, coolers, sleeping bags, and cheap booze. This bag was rigid. It was heavy enough to make Omar's veins pop as he lifted it, and it was sitting next to a window that had been shattered before the fire started. Why would they film this? Narcissism. They film everything. I opened a new tab and searched Senator Reynolds' police report. The news was obsessed with the arson and my mental breakdown. But I dug deeper. I found a PDF on page 6 of the official filing that the blogs missed. List of stolen property, 7 vintage Rolex Submariners, 3 Patek Philippe Grand Complications. Total value, $2.5 million. The air left my lungs. The fire wasn't a prank gone wrong. It wasn't about me. They burned the house down to hide a heist. I wasn't just the scapegoat for an arson. I was the cover for a multi-million-dollar robbery. And they had left the receipts on my laptop, $2.5 million. The number didn't just sit in my brain, it rewired the entire night. They didn't just hate me, they needed me. A crazy ex-girlfriend burning down a cabin is a tragic headline that ends the investigation. A calculated burglary of a senator's estate is a federal manhunt. I was the smokescreen. I opened a new incognito tab. I didn't search for Rolex. I searched for the specific reference numbers from the police report. Submariner 5512. Google gave me nothing but retail sites and glossy articles about the senator's collection. I needed to go deeper. I switched to a forum I knew Omar used for his sneaker reselling business, Hype Vault. It was a gray market cesspool where receipts were optional and cash was king. I scrolled through the accessories thread. Nothing. Then I saw a post from 6 hours ago. User Night Owl 88. WTS. Vintage collection. No papers. Cash only. DM for encrypted signal. Night Owl 88. My breath hitched. That wasn't just a random handle, it was Omar's old gamer tag from when we played Fortnite in 10th grade. He was stupid enough to recycle his username for a felony. I clicked the profile. He had posted a blurry photo of the collection as proof of life. There were 7 watches scattered on a stained hotel bedspread. I zoomed in on the bezel of the watch in the middle. There was a distinct deep scratch near the 12. I cross-referenced it with the high-resolution insurance photo in the police report PDF. The scratch matched perfectly. My hands weren't shaking anymore. They were cold. Willow was the mastermind, Kelly was the actor, but Omar? Omar was the greed, and greed makes you sloppy. I took a screenshot. This wasn't just evidence of a theft. It was leverage. The lighter in my pocket, the fake text messages, the mental breakdown, it was all distraction. This picture was the truth, and I was about to use it to burn them down one by one, starting with the weakest link in the chain. I couldn't just hand this to Detective Miller. He had already decided I was a pyromaniac liar. If I sent him the screenshot, he'd say I photoshopped it. I needed a confession, and to get a confession, I needed to terrify Omar. I drove to the Walmart 2 towns over, keeping my head down and wearing a hoodie that smelled like mothballs. I bought a burner phone with cash and activated it in the parking lot. My thumbs flew over the tiny, cheap keypad. Hey, Night Owl, saw the listing on Hype Vault. I'm a buyer, but I know what those are, and I know where they came from. I hit send and waited. The little spinning icon felt like a ticking clock. 1 minute? 2 minutes. My phone buzzed. Who is this? I don't know what you are talking about. I smiled. He replied too fast. He was panicked. Cut the crap, Omar. I know about the cabin, I know about the senator, and I know Willow is already cutting a deal to pin the theft on you too. She told the cops you went back inside alone. It was a lie, a pure gamble, but I knew Willow. She would throw anyone under the bus to save her manicure. I was betting that Omar knew it too. The 3 dots popped up, then disappeared, then popped up again. She wouldn't do that. We had a plan. Plans change when the feds get involved. I typed back. She's the innocent witness, remember? You're the guy with the lighter. Who do you think the jury is going to believe? The crying influencer or the guy selling stolen goods online? I let that sit for a full minute. I could practically see him pacing in his room, sweating through his shirt. What do you want? He finally replied. I want the watches, I lied. I can move them, but you need to get them out of your house before the warrant drops. Meet me at Riverfront Park. Midnight. Come alone, or I send the screenshots to Miller. Fine, he replied. Midnight. I tossed the phone onto the passenger seat. The hook was set. Now I just had to survive the catch. Riverfront Park was a black void at midnight, the only light coming from the distant hum of the highway. I sat on a rusted bench, my heart trying to punch out of my chest. Under my jacket, taped to my skin with duct tape, was my dad's old dictaphone. It was analog, clunky, and my only hope. A figure emerged from the shadows of the tree line. Hood up, shoulders hunched. Omar. He didn't have the duffel bag. My stomach dropped. Where are they? I stood up, keeping my hands visible. I told you to bring the merchandise. Who are you? Omar hissed, stepping into the slice of moonlight. He looked terrible. His eyes were sunken, dark circles bruising the skin underneath. He looked like he hadn't slept since the fire. Show me your face. I pulled down my hood. Omar stumbled back like I had slapped him. Layla? No. No. You're supposed to be on house arrest. You're crazy. You burned it down. Drop the act, Omar. I stepped forward, my voice low and hard. There are no cameras here, no Willow to impress. I know about the watches. I saw the post. You hacked my account? He looked around wildly, checking the trees for cops. I didn't have to hack anything. You're sloppy, and Willow knows it. Why do you think she made you hold the lighter? Why do you think she made you carry the bag? Because when the senator finds out about the Rolexes, she's going to say she was just a scared girl who didn't know her friend was a thief. She promised. Omar's voice cracked. She said we split it 3 ways, 80 grand each. She said it was just an empty vacation house. 80 grand? I laughed, a harsh, jagged sound. Omar, those watches are worth $2 million. She played you. She's going to take the cash, and you're going to take the fall for grand larceny and arson. I didn't want to light it, he shouted, tears streaming down his face. She made me. She said we had to destroy the DNA. I just wanted the money for my mom's surgery. Say it again, I whispered, stepping closer. Tell me exactly what she made you do. She poured the accelerant, Omar sobbed, collapsing onto the bench. Willow poured the gas. I just threw the match. I felt the tape against my chest, vibrating with his confession. I had him. Omar's confession was pure gold, but a grainy tape recording of a crying boy in a park wasn't enough to break Willow's spell. The internet loved her. She was the phoenix, the survivor. I needed to destroy her on her own turf. The opportunity came 3 days later. A notification popped up on my burner phone. Willow Hart Live the Phoenix Gala. She was hosting a charity live stream for Senator Reynolds at the Grand Hall downtown. It was the perfect stage. A massive LED wall, professional sound system, and millions of eyes watching live. She was going to present a giant check for $50,000, money she raised off my name, to victims of arson. The audacity was breathtaking. I didn't have a ticket. I didn't need one. I needed a tech guy. I drove to the university library basement, the only place on campus I could sneak into without an ID card. Marcus was there, buried behind 3 monitors. He was a comp sci major I used to tutor in English. He owed me. Layla? He nearly fell out of his chair. Jesus, you're supposed to be… I know what I'm supposed to be. I cut him off, slamming a flash drive onto his desk. But I need you to make me something else. I need you to clone a signal. Clone a… what? The HDMI feed for the Grand Hall projector system, I said. Willow is going live in 4 hours. I need to override her presentation. I need to broadcast this. I tapped the drive. Marcus looked at the drive, then at me. He saw the desperation in my eyes. He saw the bruises from where the handcuffs had been. Layla, this isn't just a prank. This is a felony. If I hack a senator's event, I'm dead. If you don't do this, an innocent person goes to prison for 10 years, I said. He hesitated, rubbing the back of his neck. But if you promise I don't have to be in the room when it happens, give me the drive. Get me in, I said, and get ready to watch the world burn. Getting into the Grand Hall was terrifyingly easy. I wore a black catering uniform I stole from a laundry truck and kept my head down. The backstage area was a chaotic hive of roadies and sound technicians. I found the main AV board behind a curtain of black velvet. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped the dongle, but I managed to jam it into the open HDMI port. A tiny green light blinked once. We were in. I retreated to the shadows of the wings, watching Willow walk onto the stage. She looked angelic in a white dress, bathed in a soft spotlight. The crowd, a mix of local elite and influencers, applauded politely. "Thank you," she whispered into the mic, her voice trembling with practiced emotion. "This past week has been a nightmare, but through the fire, we found strength." The giant LED screen behind her displayed a slideshow of sad photos. Burnt wood, a crying emoji, a selfie of her looking pensive. The live stream chat on the side monitors was scrolling so fast it was a blur of hearts and "We love you, Willow." "Now," she said, raising a hand, "I want to show you a tribute to what we lost." That was the signal. I texted Marcus, "Now." The screen flickered. Willow's slideshow froze. Then it glitched violently, turning into static. The crowd murmured. Willow looked back, confused. Technical difficulties, guys?" The static cleared, but it wasn't her tribute video. It was the shaky 4K footage from my laptop. Omar on the screen, struggling with the black duffel bag. Willow's voice, clear and sharp, cutting through the speakers. "Hurry up, you idiot! Grab the paycheck, leave the silver!" The room went dead silent. Willow dropped her microphone. It hit the floor with a deafening thud. Then the audio shifted. It was the recording from the park. Omar's sobbing voice filled the hall. She poured the gas. Willow poured the gas. I just threw the match. Willow stood frozen, her white dress looking like a shroud. On the giant screen behind her, the chat had stopped sending hearts. It was a wall of skulls. The word liar was spamming so fast it looked like a waterfall. She wasn't a phoenix anymore. She was ash. You could hear a pin drop. Seriously, 2,000 people and nobody breathed. Senator Reynolds stood up from the front row, his face a shade of purple that promised absolute violence. He pointed a trembling finger at the stage. "Arrest her." Officers swarmed the stage like ants on dropped candy. Willow tried to run. In her heels, she didn't get far. She screamed at the cameras, not for a lawyer, but for her angles. "Do not film this. Turn it off." But the red tally lights kept blinking. They captured every second of her being handcuffed in her couture gown. Her mascara, once strategically smeared for sympathy, was now running in ugly, genuine streaks of panic. I watched from the shadows of the wings. Detective Miller was sprinting toward the AV booth, but he stopped dead when he saw me. He didn't pull his cuffs. He looked at the giant screen where Omar's confession was still looping, then back at me. He slowly unclipped his radio. The look on his face was the only apology I was ever going to get. By morning, the charges against me were dissolved. The DA dropped the arson case before the ink on Willow's booking sheet was dry. Omar surrendered in the parking lot, weeping into his hands until the officers had to physically lift him into the cruiser. Kelly tried to claim she was a hostage, a victim of Willow's manipulation, but the text messages on Willow's seized phone proved she had helped pawn the first Patek Philippe. They were all going down. Grand larceny, arson, wire fraud. My inbox is currently overflowing. Good Morning America wants an interview. True crime podcasts are offering 6 figures for the exclusive rights to my story. Netflix is already calling my parents' landline. I deleted them all. I am not going to be an influencer. I am not going to build a brand on the worst week of my life. I stood on the porch of my parents' house this morning, watching the sun come up over a lawn that finally didn't have news vans parked on it. I lit a match, just to look at it. Then I blew it out. I'm done playing with fire. But Willow? I hope she gets used to the heat.